We definitely are challenging ourselves, stretching ourselves, but we wanted to reach as many people as we could. So we are extremely glad to see you all. Welcome. We hope today is full of information and resources and just that you will need in order to be better equipped as caregivers. We're going to introduce ourselves. My name is John Jones, and I am the coordinator of caregiver training and support elder options. I am also the co-chair of the Dementia Care Task Force, which is the main sponsor of this meeting today.
And I'm Jada Kasaki. I am the coordinator of the University of Florida Memory Disorder Clinic. I also co-chair this task force with Johnny. We just wanted to say welcome to our Dementia Resource Expo. We are super excited to have all of you here, whether you're at Hayesville, Lakeview, Ocala, or online. We're super excited and appreciative of everybody being here. Also wanted to give a shout out to all of our wonderful speakers who are going to get to hear today, as well as everybody who made this event possible.
Absolutely. I forgot to mention the online audience. So there are people, of course, like you who are in person, but there is an online option, excuse me, as well. Please visit every day here. We're so grateful for our sponsors and for the people who have supported the Dementia Resource Expo. We've been trying to do this in person for 3 years, and here we are finally able to make it happen. So just ecstatic about it. I think it's going to be a wonderful event today. Some of your speakers will pop up on the screen, like you see us here. So we hope to get the sound all right, so that you're able to get those two things as well. But also remember, again, to participate with the people you're participating with, their questions that you have, their resources that you need, ask us, leave a little note for us so that we can follow up, because again, it's about resources and providing you with everything you need. Any other housekeeping you know about, James?
I don't think so. Speakers are going to be talking for about 45 minutes, and then we'll have 5 or 15 minutes for question and answer. We are having lunch from 12 to 1, and that'll also give you an opportunity to make sure you can visit all of the tables in all of our sponsors today.
Awesome. Well, again, meet someone new, find out about a new service, connect with someone, take as many cards as you can. Don't miss a single one of these days. Every single day, you think, well, I don't need that. You might not need it now. You might need it later. It might not be for you. It might be for a neighbor or someone that you have in your family other than yourself. But please take advantage of everything we have today. And once again, thank you for coming on behalf of elder options of the University of Florida, the Memory Disorder Clinic, and the Dementia Caregiver. Thank you for coming.
Whoa! Hello, everybody. Hi. Technology is a beautiful thing, isn't it? Sometimes. Welcome to the Dementia Resource Expo. My name is Wendy Cruz, and I'm a community relations representative for community hospice and palliative care. This morning, I want to challenge the caregivers. Caring for the caregiver. Put your oxygen mask on, and you get going. So, what does the perfect caregiver look like? Yes, so you've got roller skates on your feet because you're everywhere. You have a huge heart to do so many things in a day, but you probably feel like you get nothing accomplished. It's hard work. And the truth is, caregivers are often superheroes because we know that it is impossible to feel like you're doing it right. So let me give you a little bit of a few statistics to start out with. There are over 66 million unpaid caregivers in the United States, people taking care of people they love. The average age for a caregiver is 49.2 because our age, our length of life is longer. It used to be 46.4 in 2004. About 61% of the caregivers are female, and about a third of them take care of 2 or more people. So because we have longer life expectancies, the changing face is very, very important to understand. So a lot of caregivers are caring for parents, but they still have kids in their home. That's really difficult. It's hard enough to raise children, but then add the kids. We also know that after college, what happens to the kids? They come back home. That's exactly right. Get a job. I can tell you for sure, my son came back home and then took a job in Minnesota. Oh, so as a result of that, though, what we used to know as our golden years would be retirement and travel and living the life. And we're not seeing that. So a lot of times we feel like there's some unfulfilled golden years. Let's talk about the stress. There's physical stress because who has to help people get up? Who has to bathe them? There's environmental stress because you're having to make adjustments in your home. Maybe you're moving rugs so nobody trips and falls. Maybe you're having to actually do a remodel. So that adds to the financial stress. But there's social stress. Caregivers often feel very isolated. They don't feel like they can get out and go somewhere because they have responsibilities at home. And that can be very, very difficult to lose that social aspect of our lives as a caregiver. And then we know that there's emotional stress. We're caring for someone that we love as we watch them decline in their health. And unfortunately, all of this stress also can lead to the decline of the caregiver's health. And that's not good. So the psychological responses that we see, it's often we get impatient, we're irritable. Why? Because we're tired. We're not getting enough sleep as a caregiver. We have so many things on our mind, and so we're going in so many different directions that we often forget things that are important. It's difficult for us to make a decision. We have anxiety. Sometimes we're angry that we're in this position. Sometimes we're sad. Sometimes we feel helpless. We can often be very overcritical of ourselves and people that we love. But here's the truth. All of those things are normal feelings for a caregiver. One of the reasons that we're having this Dementia Resource Expo is to help caregivers that can support them in this daily role. It is incredibly important for the caregiver to have options and opportunities and breaks from the care. So the physiological responses of all of that stress creates a hormone called adrenaline. Know that adrenaline makes us go, go, go. But what adrenaline does inside of our body is make our blood pressure high. It makes our heart rate high. It increases our muscle tension. So we feel it in our backs, in our necks. It can change your appetite. It can change your sleep patterns. all of these things put you at risk of becoming the care receiver. And I'm pretty sure that one of the biggest concerns that you have as a caregiver is, what is going to happen to my loved one if something happens to me? So this is important for you to take care of yourself. We know that caregiving is exhausting, but you as a caregiver have to pay attention to your own feelings and your physical health. 17% of caregivers feel like their health has gotten worse as a result of just their caregiving responsibilities. So how can you decrease that risk that it happens to you? So now that I've scared you and I've stressed you even more, how do we keep these bad things from happening? One of the best ways to combat stress is to get some amount of physical activity, whether it's 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes is better, but 5 is okay. So if that means that you take a loved one by the hand or you stick them in a wheelchair, if that's a possibility, and you go for a walk for 5 minutes, or if you have a fenced-in yard where you know they'll be safe out there, do a little gardening if that's something you like to do. Jogging, how about it? Talk to someone. Do you know anybody else that's taking care of a loved one? Caregivers can have networks and support groups, and just sharing their frustrations with each other is good healing for the soul. You have to know your limits too. One of the most difficult things for caregivers is to say out loud, feel obligated to do this, because nobody will take care of your loved one the way you do. That's not always true. There are organizations such as community hospice and palliative care that absolutely allow you to guide the love and care that your loved one gets, so that you do take care of them the way you do. Getting enough sleep with a dementia patient isn't always an option. Sundowning. If you're a caregiver of a dementia patient, you're probably familiar with sundowning. Usually at night, they all of a sudden come awake and get into mischief. And if you try to get some sleep, when you wake up in the morning, it's not going to end well. You know that. And it's something that there are resources that can help you with that. Eating properly. Do you have time to cook as a caregiver? Do you have time to make healthy meals? Possibly not. So how can we help with that? There are resources available to you through this expo that can help you with all of these things. And I encourage you to reach out and figure out what will work best for you in your situation. Sometimes we have to prioritize and organize, make a list of things that you want to get accomplished, things that you need. Not going to get it all done in the same day. No, I was just talking with someone that said she learned patience as a caregiver because she'd have her day planned out and it didn't go as planned from the beginning. So we have to be patient. How can we learn to laugh in a situation? I'll give you a perfect example. My grandfather had Alzheimer's disease, and my grandmother was a very prim and proper Long Island, New Yorker. Came from a pretty wealthy family. Never saw the woman, she lived to be 97, never saw her in anything but the dress and heels with those stockings and the little clippy things that hold the stockings up and the garter belt. Yes. My grandfather was in a nursing home because he had had cancer in the 50s in his hip. So as a result, they took his leg because that only way they knew to take his hip cancer was to take his leg too. So when he started falling, he became a handful and she couldn't manage him. So he was in a nursing home and I went to visit them. And we went to the nursing home to visit and we walked in the door and my grandfather looked at her and her name was Isabel. We called her Belle. Looked up at her and said, Belle, I'm glad to see you got out of jail. And I thought that was hilarious. And I looked at my grandmother and said, Grandma, I didn't know you were ever in jail. She did not think I was funny because her response was, I was never in jail. But the point is, that would have been an opportunity for her to laugh at that. How ridiculous was that statement? I maybe didn't help with that, but I thought it was funny. So my stress went down, hers not so much. But how do you refresh and renew yourself? So if there's a way that you can continue to actively participate in life, the things that matter to you, if you have a loved one that's getting married or a new grandchild or great-grandchild, can you go visit them? Can you participate in those things? There is respite care available. And respite care means that you take a break. Someone else cares for your loved one for you while you're taking that break. And that break can be for you to stay in your home and get some sleep, or it can mean that you're going to take a trip somewhere to do something that you've always wanted to do. But there are respite options out there. Sometimes you have to create your own timeout when you know that you are at your wit's end. Remember as you're raising your children, how when you were absolutely, that baby cried and cried and cried and cried and you didn't know what else to do for them, you just had to put them down. I went outside and screamed in my backyard. Sometimes we have to do that as caregivers for not only our children, but our loved ones who may be elderly. Try to avoid self-medication. That would mean alcohol, other drugs that try to help you feel better. But those aren't the answers. And so if you're thinking about that, there are things that we can help you with there too. Try to identify some of the positive aspects of caregiving. Are there any positive aspects of caregiving? Absolutely. If you're caring for a spouse, that's a commitment that you made years and years and years ago, and you are living up to it, and you should be proud of that. That is a big positive. But remember, you don't have to do this all by yourself. There are other caregivers out there available to support you. There are virtual support groups for caregivers. There are in-person support groups for caregivers that provide respite care. You bring your loved one with you, and they take your loved ones and they do things with them. So there are options. So one of the things that you have to understand is there's a difference between caring and doing. My father just turned 84 on Monday. And my stepmother is a little bit younger than he is, about 10 years. And so she's in a great place to care for him. Now he's not in a bad place, but over the years, he has gotten lazy because she does everything for him. And now through physical therapy, because he had a few falls, we're learning that, yeah, make him get up and do his own. He's capable. Because we have done for him for so long, those muscles fatigued, and he's not as strong as he was 10 years ago. So those kinds of things, if you can encourage your loved one to do the things that they can do, excuse me, it might be easier or quicker if we do it for them. But if they can put on their own socks, make them put on their own socks. So you have to be good to yourself. You have to love yourself. You have to honor yourself. And you have to value yourself. Knowing that you have taken on a very, very challenging role, you deserve time for yourself. Quality time, doing something that you love, that you miss. These things doing for you. If you take care of you, do you not agree that it puts you in a better place mentally, physically? I would. Depression is very real among caregivers. If you feel depressed or you're concerned that maybe you are depressed, go see the doctor. It's not something you need to be ashamed of. Care is hard, very hard. And it signifies that somebody is possibly nearing the end of their life. Just sad and painful. Those are absolutely good reasons to get depressed. So if you're feeling depressed, by all means, seek help because there is help available. One of the most important things that you can do with your family is educate yourself and your family members about your loved one's condition. I work for community hospice and palliative care, and I can't tell you how I have heard stories from people who say, no one ever told us that. Who said they were getting close to dying. And death comes as a complete shock for people. That's not okay. Now, there are some instances, sudden cardiac death, but when a disease progression is progressing, the family has a right to know. So you have to ask questions. Trust your instincts. If something inside of you says something's wrong, this person better than anyone. You have to believe that you're right. And it's okay to grieve your losses. Even when your loved one is still here, because the loss of the companionship when that dementia patient really doesn't know who you are is absolutely a horrible, painful thing. So you can grieve your losses, but you're also allowed to dream new dreams. You have a future and a family. So it's okay to think happy thoughts for the future, even in the midst of this. As a caregiver, you need to be prepared to advocate for your loved one. Nobody is going to say, I want this. And your loved one with dementia is probably in a position to advocate for themselves. So you are the one who will advocate for them. If you have family close by, make them help. Let's not let them help. As the caregiver, you are exhausted, and they need to understand that. Whether they come one time a week for 2 hours, that 2-hour break can be a big difference for the caregiver. So when help is offered, let's say a church member or a neighbor that you love or know well says, you know, if you ever need anything, I'm here for you. Okay, I'm gonna take you up on that. I'd like to go get my hair done. So I need a 3-hour window on this day at this time for you to come and sit, my loved one, while I go and do my thing. Let them, ask them. Maybe they have some good ideas. Maybe they'll never do it again, but because they'll see what you go through every day, all day long. But at least you got that opportunity to get out for one a time. So one of the things that Ira Byock said in a book called The 4 Things That Matter Most. Thank you. Thank you for whatever it is, for loving me for 45 years. I forgive you for whatever wrongs there were in that relationship, whether it be spouse, parents, doesn't matter. Sorry. In that relationship to cause pain. And I love you. People who make sure to express these things routinely in their lives are more likely to feel valued and less likely to experience what we call anticipatory grief as their loved one declines, because they have said all of the things that need to be said to be at peace. So some of the resources that you'll have in your areas today are other than these resources. The Elder Affairs has an elder helpline. There's also a National Family Caregiver Support Program. There's a website called www.caregiving.org. And there's a Caregiver Action Network that provide a tremendous amount of resources for caregivers if you don't know where to go for help. There's also a Caregiver Coalition of Northeast Florida and a support line that through Community Hospice and Palliative Care, the phone number is on the screen, 904-407-7400. Just so you know about Community Hospice Caregiver Support, we offer caregivers education. By doing that, we prepare you for what's coming next along the way. We provide respite care up to 5 days. It can be as often as every month. Available by phone 24/7. And if you need more information, you can call 904-407-6500. So if a patient is on community hospice services, the entire family becomes the focus of the care. So we manage your loved one's pain and symptoms, and we can help them with their activities of daily living. So we can bathe them, we can help them we can teach you how to help get them dressed. Or 5 days a week, someone can come in and take care of those things for you. We help with insurance paperwork, funeral planning, all of the things that matter. All of the resources available because we hook you up with them. So just so you know, caregivers work hard. It's hard work, but you don't have to be a superhero to do it. So you put on your oxygen mask. Take a few deep breaths, get yourself refreshed and renewed. seek the resources and ask for help. Because there are a ton of people out there that are here for you. So I tried to get us back on track. Did pretty good. Thank you so much for your time. Did anyone have any questions? Yes, ma'am.
You had numbers up there for support and facilities and things like that. Is that in the handout any place?
Yes, and I will, yes, the phone numbers are, so this is being recorded and then will be available online through other options after the fact. But if anybody needs those numbers again, and I can get it to you afterwards. But yes, those resources are all going to be available through, and the PowerPoint will be available through other options as well, for those of you that are watching virtually or in another location. So, all right, well, thank you so much. I hope you enjoy the rest of your expo. Have a great day.
Good morning. I say, can you hear us? Or is it too loud? Too loud. No, it's not. Well, not to them. Okay. I will just try to not keep it. What's this? Is this better? They say. Okay. I guess it's just like a little you can start moving to we we're going to start the next presentation. Rather than people ready to there's some great goodies around the room. Make sure to visit all the tables. I see some friendly faces ready to smile and serve you. And I think I'm doing my job. That's right. Yay for food. All right, I think everybody's settled. Good morning and welcome. And it's a great honor to be here in person. I'll tell you that we've been trying to get together in person here for a few years, and it's really an honor to be at this beautiful facility, senior campus in Expo. My name is Sita Boas, and I am presently with Caregiver in Healthcare. It's now not advancing my slide. I don't know why I'm taking space on that. I believe it's let's try that. So we did talk about meaningful engagement. When we touched on that in our presentation, we talked about not just meaningful engagement for our person living with dementia or cognitive decline, but also meaningful engagement for all of us, all the caregivers, for the healthcare providers, the service providers. Each of us needs to experience meaningful engagement, and what does that look like? It's not
it's just like the phone back and forth. We're getting some feedback on that.
So my name is Sita Boas. I am an occupational therapist. About 30 years. I'm currently employed with Untitled Chapter. I take us over there, and we provide in-home services through Medicare, 100% covered. I created a unique approach to memory care and dementia care. And this approach is used by concierge home care. It's an in-home services. So any person with a cognitive decline is considered homebound by
Medicare. So as such, if you have a loved one or yourself are living with cognitive decline or memory impairment or dementia, you qualify for in-home services. So that's just a little bit high-level information about conscious home care. But what we want to talk today is about you as a caregiver and your loved one, and about meaningful engagement and what is meaningful engagement to me. So meaningful activity engagement, and again, we can get a bit deeper on why that's important. My story is that I, as a healthcare provider, just felt that we are not doing a good enough. Not we are doing a good enough job stepping into the reality of our caregivers, of our loved ones living with dementia, because we just didn't have the knowledge and the resources to first find out exactly what's going on, and second, know how to work with the family to address those problems that affected me. So my part is, as healthcare providers, as service providers, how can we do better? How can we be partners? How can we speak the same language? How can we understand where are you at, or your loved one at, in this dimension walk, as I call it, because our walk is different, everybody's walk is different. And as a healthcare provider, how can I not only come in and tell you that's there's a problem, you know there's a problem, right? It doesn't help for somebody to come tell you you have a problem, or this is a diagnosis. So how can we build a bridge for you so that not only do you know there's a problem, but you better understand what does that problem look like, and how can we as a team come up with resources, real-time solutions that's going to help you and your loved one age in place safely, right? What does that look like? What does that mean for you? How can we achieve that? And I think that's something that we as healthcare providers, service providers, not been doing well. And that's why I created this approach to memory care. It's an approach in which we have a new assessment to understand what's happening and how can we overcome challenges. And this is my story. My mommy got right. She has lived now with dementia or early onset cognitive decline for about 18 or 19 years. She was 77 this year. My dad actually said memory, keep picture this morning of the whiteboard and all the little things that he's writing down so I can help her remember the soundtrack. And then the next bottom picture is my grandma. So it's my maternal grandma, grandpa. My grandpa died with Alzheimer's disease, and he was bedridden for 2 years. We have a little joke. I'm from South Africa originally, and I lived out in the country, and he would wake up in the middle of the night and wake my grandmother up and ask her, "So who are you?" And she would say, "Oh, I'm your wife." And he would say, "No, I didn't believe that." So, it was a little backhanded compliment. So we just laughed, and, she would just reassure me that she was there to take care of me. And so that it's a little joke, but they were married over 7 years. And it was with the inspiration to see how she cared for him with joy and with forgiveness, because he's advanced Alzheimer's was caused by alcoholism. So there was a lot of trauma there, which is still step into that role and prepare him very well. I was 14 when he passed away, so like where I got from right now was from looking back, right? She walked her walk. So this is our assistant, Jenny Grant, and she's back there at that table. And she is also a valuable resource if you want to stop by and pick up brains and get some solutions and some ideas. We are here to serve you. So we like to say at Boats Women in the country of here that dementia will steal your mind, but it's not going to steal your heart. And it's very important to understand that when we come in as healthcare providers, we want to understand what is the value of our brain ability, right? Where are we at? What type of things are happening with our mind, which is no fault of any of ours, but still understanding that that person is a special heart, a special identity, a special personality, And if we can understand what's happening with the mind, and what's the barriers of the mind, and combine that with the strengths of that person's unique personality and abilities, then we can come up with solutions. And that's our focus. Our focus is not on the dementia, our focus is not on the diagnosis, our focus is on how can we understand what's happening in your situation and come up with solutions, overcome barriers so that everything creates joy. So that's the hope that I hope you can take away today. What I want to highlight to you is that worldwide there is a great movement for persons living with cognitive decline, and I'm actually had a lady come up to the table today. And this is the thing, I'm struggling with my mind. I need help. What we're trying to create with DCCI is a safe space for our community, for our population, where you can feel safe to say, I need help, we need help. Because this is a problem that's going to grow and get bigger, it's not going to go away. So how can we partner? How can we come arm in arm and help each other? So, and we need a safe space for that. And so even worldwide, I'm following different forums, and caregivers and family members and persons living with dementia are speaking up. And they're saying, stop the mess. We need to be heard. We have needs. Things look different for us. You, politicians, healthcare providers, you are saying this, and this, but you are not listening to what we need. We want to be part of the conversation. So I think we're living in exciting times where we have DCCI, dementia, peer initiative. We can talk about even a peer if we can go up high enough upstream and actually have preventative lifestyle measures so that we can take care of our life, not have that. So there's so much hope right now for cognitive decline, and part of that is that you have to activate for yourself and your loved ones, knowing that there are solutions. We just need to find out what's the best solution for you, and that's the hope. And having this initiative and having this group and having the ability to talk about what are those solutions and how can we stay with your situation and how for you to have meaning. So aging in place, part of that is to have a meaningful and a joyful life. How can we create that for you? So everyone else, whether they have dementia or not, it can be arthritis, it can be Parkinson's, it can be a stroke. It's not different for somebody living with dementia. We all deserve the same type of care. We all deserve the same type of solutions. We all deserve support. So I know that for a long time, as healthcare providers, we put dementia in a corner, right? We lock the door, and we don't talk about it because we don't really know what to say. We don't really know how to help. But what we're trying to do is to say, let's get into this together. Let's look at what's happening in real time. Let's all resolve it together because everybody deserves to have a joyful and purposeful life. So there's the real life struggles. We know that dementia is going to grow. And it's not going to dive into this statistic, but if each of us will know there's a problem, I don't have to convince you that there's a problem. We will make you aware, otherwise we wouldn't be here. But we know that even our primary care physicians, this is from the 2022 Alzheimer's Association and World Health Organization research publications, that even our primary care physicians, our neurologists, our healthcare professionals, we are overwhelmed. We don't always know where to start and how to help them. Again, that's why we have Rosemary method. That's why Coaching is bringing into this epidemic, because we're trying to train our dementia specialists to come into the home to help you. And that's what I have to say is having enough support and training so that you don't feel left out, you don't feel alone, you know that there's somebody out there that you can lean on. And this is what the Alzheimer's Association, I mean, this is what we strive for, right? Does it happen? Maybe not always. So in the middle is us, individuals with dementia and their caregivers. And then the outer circle is what we try to achieve in healthcare. we're trying to empower the workforce so that somebody who's still working can keep on working. We're trying to improve medical management so that we can brain health. We're trying to provide information and education. This is the perfect wheel. However, each of you can identify that there's some of those pieces that's lacking, right? That's not happening. So how can we make sure that we can get those dots so that you get the care you need? So how do we overcome barriers? So we know there's healthcare barriers. We know that we're not always trained, we don't always understand the health and health. But then how can we overcome those barriers to support caregivers and loved ones in real time? So we create a bridge. So I feel we need to create a bridge from that diagnosis to that real lifetime life solution so somebody can enter in place. And so we can create opportunities for meaningful engagement for everybody involved. So that we're not all spinning our wheels trying to find solution apps to get to that solution, but so that we have real-time intervention so that that can happen for our caregivers and for all of us. And then the burden involved will be less for all of us. So why I talk about meaningful engagement. So what does that even mean? Why should I be engaged, right? So let's think about this. If I was not an engaging speaker and you were not watching me or my PowerPoint wasn't engaging, wasn't visually pleasing, you would look somewhere else to be engaged, right? Maybe it's our phone, maybe it's something else in the room. So engagement matters because that is what allows us to receive information, to have a social connection, and to be able to manipulate what's going on around us. If I'm not able to engage, then I'm not able to be successful, and then I cannot meet my needs. So that's why engagement matters. So that's a high level word, engagement. That can mean a whole lot of different things, but how can we pull that back to dementia? So any one of us, as a human, we need meaningful connections with other people, with our environment, and that's essential for us to fulfill our needs. The moment that we're lacking, we are declining, we are isolated, we feel stressed, we are not as successful as we need to be. So how do we overcome it? So as care workers, as family members, healthcare workers, we must guide a person living with dementia around, over, and through the social physiological barriers associated with cognitive decline. So now we need to explore what are those barriers? How can we help to understand what's happening with our loved ones so that we can feel successful in our environment? I'm going to that is different for everybody. We're going to look at some examples. So what does meaningfully actively engagement mean? That just means that we feel purposefully connected with our environment, with others. The ability to manipulate whatever is around us so that I can meet my needs. That is at the core of any human being. If I get up in the morning and I have a sense that my needs are not going to be met, or I have a sense of being lost, or I have a sense that I don't remember what is needed of me, do you think that I feel purposefully engaged? No, what gets me out of bed in the morning is the knowledge that I wake up and I have to use the bathroom, and I open my eyes, and I know exactly how to make that happen in a timely fashion. And I use this example, the three white doors. So imagine you wake up in a hotel room, and you have traveled last night for a long time, and you wake up in a hotel room, and as females, I know you can relate with me. You wake up, it's kind of dusk, dawn in the morning, and you need to use the bathroom. There's three white doors. There's a white door that leads out, and well, let's start this way. There's three white doors. The first white door, when you open, looking for the bathroom, is a closet. It's not the bathroom. The next white door you open is into a hallway. you're not quite sure where you're at, and now you start wandering down the hallway, you miss the bathroom because that's another way forward. So the point I'm trying to make is that if I don't know how to connect with my environment in a purposeful way to meet my need, I'm going to feel lost. I'm going to feel like I'm going to be seeking to fulfill my needs. So how do we overcome that barrier? This guy made great strides, and I just have 3 small points. This is the evidence behind what I'm talking about. The first thing is I have to have motivation. I have to have the motivation to get out of here to go look for a husband, right? Or I have to have the motivation to start the task. I cannot be thinking about the task if I'm not actually start interacting with the task. That doesn't mean anything. So I have to have the motivation. The second part of that is everything that I do as a role, whether it is my personal self-care role, whether it is a caregiver role, whether it is a husband or a wife role or a child role, or my role as occupational therapist or a dementia specialist, each of us identify with a specific role in a specific situation. In this situation, you have a role as audience, I have a role as a presenter. So what does that look like for us, right? You have to have the motivation to show up at time and the motivation to want to learn something and identify with the role as audience to stay seated and to be concentrating on the PowerPoint. Then the strengths and abilities. We have to have certain strengths and abilities to be successful and meaningfully engaged. So you have to have the vision to see my screen. You have to be able to hear me so you can follow on my message. You need to be able to comprehend what we're talking about. So that's our strengths and our abilities. If I'm not doing one of those things, then I cannot be meaningfully engaged. So that's just the evidence that I'm being meaningfully engaged. This does not change for anybody. This looks the same from baby to the time that we have our celestial discharge, crossing over. This does not change. It stays the same for all of us. Okay? So if we do not have our basic needs met, if we don't feel like my basic needs of nutrition and hydration is met, if I don't feel like I'm safe and secure in this area, you won't stay here. If you don't feel safe, feel comfortable, you would have left, right? If I don't feel loved, if I don't feel respected, I'm not going to be able to thrive in that environment. So this just shows us that each of us need to overcome those barriers in order to feel valued and meaningfully engaged. Again, that does not change for a caregiver, that does not change for a person living with dementia. We all need this. So, how do we find out what's the barriers to achieve this so that we can have, so that we feel joy? So this is just a little bit of science. I wanted to stimulate your brain. That's one of the 6 pillars of burnout, is having some brain and mind stimulation. And so we'll move no more science, we don't have science. So, what does meaningful engagement mean? It's different for each of us, right? My first cup of coffee in the morning is like makes me go and breaks me out, right? If somebody smiles right there, who knows? Now, if I was to force the coffee down your throat, like you have to wake up and serve coffee, it's good coffee. Meaningful engagement for her, that's not meaningful. But if I can enter into her space with the coffee, I can connect with her and show her how to engage with her cup of coffee at the right time. That's meaningful. So how do we make the activities in our environment meaningful? So it's meaningful for us as caregivers, and it's meaningful for the person living with dementia. This is kind of high level activities right here, but we need all kinds of strengths and motivation to engage at this level. When we have more advanced dementia, our engagement may be more basic. So think about the hierarchy we just looked at, Maslow's hierarchy. We cannot function at this level if our basic needs are not met. If I'm not well fed, I'm always hungry, if I feel always thirsty, or wasn't able to go to the party on time and wait, I'm how frustrations that's going on, which is not going to allow me to get to this level of point. So we get one level down. So for somebody living with dementia, it may be that we have to overcome the barriers for the basic activities first. And as caregivers, people may be living with a loved one or have some early onset memory loss. This might be a challenge. How do I get my meals done in time? How do I get my medication full? How do I stand up with my medication management? Do I stay hydrated? Can I take care of my own hygiene, toilet hygiene? So it's our job as healthcare providers to come alongside and help you understand what might be the barrier for your loved one to be successful, at which point can we maybe still teach your loved one with certain visual cues, certain habits to help them be successful, or at which point do we need to pivot, and now we have to get caregiver, into the caregiver to help overcome the barriers. We may have to help you look at career caregivers or family members to come help support you, because this is when things become very stressful and very tiring, is when I, as a caregiver, consistently have to step into those most personal spaces to help my person succeed, just for the basic, because we never get to the joyful pieces. Which, you know, if my ear is phone in the morning, if I would not have showed up this morning. If I didn't feel I successfully brushed my teeth, I successfully dressed in the right outfit, and I got my hair done, right? Because of the practice. So that is what made those activities meaningful for me, because I knew I had to show up here presenting in a certain manner. When a person of Down's and dementia, they lose the ability to track that. The why behind the what. They lose the ability to understand why does this has to happen right now in a certain way. So this is where it's our job as dementia specialists to help the caregiver and the loved one to understand how can we insert solutions for you to overcome those barriers. We're going to talk about a few. So when we analyze and look at the brain, we look at the cognitive pieces such as memory, our attention, judgment, safety awareness level, and other barriers for meaningful engagement, maybe the stages of personality and likes and dislikes. There are loss of personal roles. Somebody may have regressed, where maybe they were a physician when they retired, but they've now regressed to the role of a son to a mother, right? So we need to figure out what personal roles do our person living with dementia identify with. Maybe there's a change in their living environment. Maybe there's a change in their caregivers. So how do we help adapt and overcome barriers so that that person feel meaningfully engaged with us and their environment around them? So that's just a brief overview of what happens with our brain as we start having cognitive decline and what may be causing barriers for our persons. With the first memory method and with the memory bouquet, we tried to create it, which we created a roadmap to joyful connections. So your lily represents early onset of cognitive decline, your daisy represents mild cognitive decline, your violet is moderate cognitive decline, your rose is severe cognitive decline, and then your bouquet level is advanced cognitive decline. And we've built into this roadmap an understanding of the expectations that your loved one, the expectations for you of what your loved one may need on each of that flower levels. Solutions that you can anticipate needs to happen at the different flower levels. So that's what we created. I just wanted to give you a little taste of what we're trying to do to have a better system and solutions in place for loved ones and caregivers in order to feel like they have baseline information to meet the needs of their person and to have that joyful connections and meaningful engagements. Because expectations for each of these different levels of cognitive decline is going to be different. The way I talk to that person, the way I set up their toothbrush, the way I set up my nutrition program, the way I present food, the way I'm going to take that person out to doctor's visit. It's going to be different for each of these flower levels. So having a high level understanding of where your person is at in their dementia walk, give you a little bit of a roadmap to stay a couple of steps ahead of the needs of your person because you understand what they're going to do. So for the lady, we can maintain independence. This person can stay at home, lifetimes they can still live alone. If we can teach them compensatory techniques, they can learn new strategies to compensate for a lazy. This person, we can maintain their independence through compensating. They can learn new solutions. However, we need to simplify. And we need to do it in the same way, at the same place, in the same manner, over and over and over until that person has grasped that new concept, whether that is how to make a specific meal, whether that is how to navigate a new shower, whether that is how to navigate a new meditation box. At our basic level, we can still teach our person strategies. And that says moderate cognitive decline. That's incorrect. It's mild cognitive decline at the basic level. At the violet level, we now have moderate cognitive decline. We now understand our person in 24/7 supervision. We know that we have to do with. We cannot just tell this person, I need you to go brush the teeth, or I need you to go do the dishes. We need to demonstrate what we want for them to be involved with and do with them. One step at a time, simplify the task, and we can still be successful as long as we're being next to them, helping them to overcome barriers as they come up. Our next level is the rose level, and that's severe cognitive decline. At this level, our person is seeking sensory stimulation. They're unable to understand what's needed from them in an environment. They're typically confused, advanced memory loss, that they have a very difficult time to understand what this environment means to me, what objects means, and how to connect with those objects, with other people in order to meet my needs. So at the moment in the rose level, we may start seeing those behavioral changes and behavioral influence because a person is unable to meet their needs, and they're unable to communicate with us what those needs are. So how can we anticipate these needs and insert intervention? For instance, hydration. We know our rose is going to get thirsty. We know our rose is not going to be able to find their own source of water or coffee and juice. We need to set that up. And even if we put a styrofoam cup with milk in front of them on a white table, they may not see it. They may not be able to recognize that as a cup because everything is right. So how can we use color to help that person connect with the object, and then verbal cueing and maybe a tactile cue, which means touch, to help that person engage and then show them on what's expected. So these different flower levels just allows us to anticipate what the person needs from us to be successful and to be meaningfully engaged, so that hopefully we're decreasing some of those frustrations for everybody involved. And then at the advanced level, our person of is unable to make eye contact, they're unable to express themselves, but they still can receive sensory engagement from us. They still can respond to touch and to voices and to music and to smells. And how can we support our loved ones with that sensory engagement, but then at the same time support our caregivers and care partners so that their lifestyle is maintained, they stay healthy. And so I'm going to touch a little bit on what Wade was saying. So what's the good news of all this? We can change the experience of our loved ones living with dementia 1 month at a time. Sometimes it's just 5 minutes at a time, or 10 minutes at a time. But quality time matters. And here, that quality time that we're able to successfully connect and help them engage, we are creating joy. And that is where we establish connections. And our persons living with dementia has a superpower. That's their ability to act on emotional responses around them. So because their brain are unable to process maybe information, maybe they visually they cannot receive information in the same way, make sense of it in the same way, they can still respond to emotions. They can still respond to how we make them feel. And that's what they're going to remember. And that's their superpower, is their ability to respond on an emotional level, to color, to music, to sounds, to our attitude and the energy that we bring into their environment. And that's what we need to do. If you only remember that one thing, to remember a lot for today. So, our persons living with the dementia have an internal drive, even if they cannot tell us what it is that they need. And I can see the expressions. One person, they need to feel connected to us and to the present. Even when they are confused, they need that sense of belonging. How can we create that? Our person needs to have valuable personal interactions. So even if they don't remember who I am or who you are, the ability to connect and for them to remember how we make them feel, that's more important than them remembering who we are. As a beautiful example of a gentleman that I trained, the occupational therapist, we have 60 occupational therapists in the state of Florida that implement this technique. We have touched over 2,000 patients in the past 4 years. And we now have some research previewed that is validating that what we're doing is really making a difference. But this gentleman I trained last week, he is from Kenya, and he had to go back. His mom died this year. He had to go back to for the funeral, and he was so excited to see that. He's very close to his dad, that his dad has not been texting him recently. And the excuse that he heard from family is that dad lost his phone. He lives in a village in Kenya. So he's now excited to go back home, meet his dad, maybe give him his phone, engage with him. Gets into the village, into the home where his dad is at. He walks in and says, "Dad, hi." And his dad goes, "Who are you?" And he goes, "It's me, Devin, your son." And he goes, "No, my son is in the USA. My son is not here in this village." And what he does, occupational therapist for many years, and at first, of course, his heart was breaking. His dad is not remembering, his dad remembers, I said, emotional memory of dad then being in the USA. Dad has been there for 26 years. So he goes over, sits next to his dad and say, "You're right." But he's saying to me, "I am his representative. Can you tell me what I can tell them? How he's going? What's happening? What do you need?" And suddenly his dad is willing to connect with him. He didn't recognize him, wouldn't connect with him as his son. And when he left, his dad was upset the whole day that there was a man in his house claiming to be his son. So we have that emotional, deep emotional response and could remember that there was someone claiming to be his son, right? But he couldn't remember that this is then my son. So that's the confusion of dementia. There's those splintered pieces that a person living with dementia may hold on to because that evokes a strong emotional response. It's something that's very deeply valuable, and so they hold on to that because they want to control that memory and that emotion. However, if we can enter into their presence, meet them where they act, we can still establish connections and have a valuable time that might be different. So our persons need to feel valuable in their environment because they still identify with historical roles and ability, even if we do not understand what that is. So as a caregiver, you might understand what that is because you know it. So you know if they're regressing to a different role. We have some persons that we treat or that we engage with, that think that their mom is going to get them every day after lunch. And so it's not my role to convince this person that mom is no longer alive and she's not going to engage you after lunch. It's our role to meet her where she's at and say, oh my goodness, it sounds like you and your mom really love each other. Tell me about mom. What's her name? And we provide a different sensory input or emotional input that helps to connect that person without denying the reality that she is living in, because that's causing stress. I can go on and on about some of those challenges, and we'll be at the table over there if you want to talk a little bit more about specific areas of challenges that you may see with your loved ones that they don't always learn how to effectively overcome or bring into that situation in a healthy way. So it's not our role to change a person's what I think their reality is. It's our role to connect with them and to help them feel safe and valuable right here, right now. And what is that look like? So we can facilitate positive engagements with our and meaningful interactions between us, between our loved ones, between our persons living with dementia. If we cultivate healthy relationships, if we understand and anticipate that the challenges look different for each of these grade levels, if we can appropriately structure the environment, because there's certain things that we know that this person is going to need at the certain flower levels, and if we can be intentional in our approach to each of these flower levels, from Lily or Daisy, I'm not trying to patronize them. I can have a normal conversation, but when I get to my violet or my rose, I know that that person may not see me if I'm right over here. I need to be right in their line of sight. I need to make eye contact. I cannot be speaking to them over here and think that they know that I am talking to them. So it looks different when I cross over from the Lily and Daisy to a violet and rose and bouquet. My approach needs to be structured, my expectations needs to be different. So some of that nuggets and pearls, this person may not remember me from this morning till this evening. It may change, they may remember me this morning, but not this evening. So how do I establish rapport with them every single time in a positive way? Consider what I respond to. Maybe it's Baba, or maybe it is Dr. Sam, right? Or that may change from this week to next week. Face to face, whenever this is when we cross from a lily and a daisy, when we cross over to a violet and a rose and a bouquet level. This approach becomes super important because our violet and our rose and our bouquet level receives information in a different manner. They may not remember, and they won't carry over information that we present to them right now, right here. When we enter into their presence, we can use touch, help them feel safe, help them feel present in the moment, but we have to make sure that we read their body language, have that eye contact first. I'm not going to come from behind, even if I came from behind and suddenly you have you would stop them. And you are not part of the reverse. So, how do I enter into our person's presence in an appropriate way, which is going to allow me to be successful? How do I enter into their reality? Because that reality might look different. I'm not going to deny the reality. I'm not there to convince them of what the reality is. I'm there to make them feel safe. How do I speak? I need to speak slower. I need to simplify my expectations. I need to allow time for that person to see me, to respond to me. I need to establish an emotional connection because that is superpower. Is that a cup of coffee in the morning together? Is that music? Is it flower? Is it electronic at the dawn? It's different for each of our persons. So how can we establish that emotional rapport and it's human or nature, some of our persons living with dementia. So that's some nuggets and pearls. Some common sense things, limit noises, limit distractions when we really want to get something done, when we really want to communicate important information, we need to simplify the environment and avoid wearing black, avoid You know, any dark colors, dark carpeting changes between dark and light. If it's a white bathroom floor, it says with a dark carpet in their bedroom. Any time that that person living with dementia are challenged with changes in patterns and stark differences in colors on the floor that can cause a fall risk. If they're unable to know if that is higher or lower, so what happens is when I'm moving and suddenly I'm challenged with a contrast between this floor and this floor, this is going to happen. I'm going to try, I don't know where I'm at in space. So that's visual relational. Just think about that in your homes. It's a little bit that we can use, you know, little rugs that secure to the floor that helps that even walk away because visually that allows somebody to connect with where they are supposed to walk and to stay. For instance, I was in a facility and I had a beautiful carpet, but they had black borders against the walls. And guess what? They had handrails on the walls for the residents. However, the residents were still falling. They were not using the handrails because of the black borders on the side. That looks like a hole to a person living with dementia. They cannot figure out what that black means in space. So they stayed in the middle where they could see and even walk away and they didn't use the last handrails. So that's just a little tip about dark flooring in my home. So this is the good news. And we'll go fast. This is where you as a caregiver taking care of your child and should be taking care of yourself. 30 minutes of movement will increase oxygen to the brain. If it's 5 minutes 6 times a day, and 10 minutes 3 times a day, and we should moving on music in your kitchen, listening to a song. This is one of the research ways to prevent brain decline, physical exercise. Antioxidants, cleans up your cells, cleans up the stress and the cortisol and the inflammation. Wendy was talking about how can we combat the stress that we're living under. Even if I'm afraid, it's so random. I'm not afraid to get dementia. My granddad also studying with dementia. Of course, I'm scared I'm going to get dementia. Statistics tell us 1 in 3 people are at risk and will pass away with dementia. That is not nice statistics. There are things that we can do proactively to keep us healthy. Hydration, your body weight, have your body weight in 200 ounces every day. That's what's going to support your brain or your other organs. Take care of your medical health. Stay on top of your sugar, your blood pressure. Stay on top of your oxygen needs. If you have sleep apnea, work with it. Get your sleep back. Mental fitness. So sitting here, learning new information, that's mental stimulation. That's brain stimulation. So work some mental fitness into your day, or if you're very stressed, maybe you need some meditation. Maybe you need some relaxation. So there's those 3 components. And then last, but certainly not the least, is meaningful social bonds, having relationships, being able to feel like you're connected and you're valuable, and that people need you and want you. If you don't have that, we're failure to thrive, right? Become isolated. We don't know what our role is. So we're pretty much done. Every time we're successful, every time we overcome the barrier and we go out with somewhere, exercise like for me, I've been thinking, good inspiration being 2 weeks since I've been to the gym, maybe more than 4 weeks, something like 6 weeks. Sounds fair. And I'm scared about it, right? So every time I go to the gym and I exercise and I can say, I got it done. That's when we serotonin. So anytime we're successful, even with the smallest things, like completing a class, doing self-care, enjoying a cup of coffee, it's not so much fortunate on me, I feel engaged. That releases dopamine. This is true for all of us, for a person living with dementia as well as you, the caregiver. And for congratulating ourselves that we did something well. Touching somebody, a hug, holding a hand, we need to be touched. Otherwise, again, failure to thrive. And then the last but not the least is endorphins. So laughter, music, essential oils, exercise, dark chocolate, that's my favorite, dark chocolate is there on my table, I'm not precise. These are things that release neurotransmitters in the brain. This is what keeps us healthy. This is what all of us need to overcome our stress, to feel like we're managing our situation. So these are all lifestyle changes that's going to help to keep our brain healthy. And it's important for us, and it's important for our person living with dementia. So at the end of the day, meaningful engagement is at the heart of the matter. If we can be meaningfully engaged and we feel like we belong and we feel valued and we feel like we connection with other people, with our loved one, we will succeed. And that's it. You can find me on all the social media platforms. There's our firstmemorymaker.com. We have a free memory care support group every first Friday of the month at 10 a.m. The link is directly from the website. And we have all kinds of resources, videos, blogs. So please feel free to reach out to us and follow along. And we are here to serve you. If there's topics you want to hear more about, I try to be on TikTok. I don't know who of you have ever tried TikTok. I know it's really challenging. It's not for me. But Facebook, I'm better on Facebook. I will try to post meaningful suggestions and help guidelines. So reach out to us if you need anything else. Any questions? Ready for lunch? It's right there.
Hello. Can you hear me? Perfect. I'm Sarah Reed with the Gainesville Police Department. I'm an officer with the co-responder team. Elliot is one of our clinicians. We have clinicians who ride with us 40 hours a week to respond to any type of call for service that involves mental illness, substance abuse, or anybody who's in crisis. We have just come out with a new program called Take Me Home. The way that this program is intended to work is that loved ones or caregivers can enroll somebody into our program. It's a separate database from our criminal database. And it allows us, if we come in contact with an individual who's lost or just confused about what's going on, and they're not able to talk to us about who they are, who's a good contact person for them, or where they live, we can search based off of an age, or gender. If we have like a first name only, we just plug all this into the database and we'll be able to identify them. There's a way for you to upload a picture, which would make it a lot easier for officers to identify the person also. And for anybody with a diagnosis of dementia, Alzheimer's, any mental illness, substance abuse, or anybody who's on the spectrum. It is brand new. It has been successful in other cities throughout the United States, and we hope that it'll be another resource for our community so that we can make sure your loved ones get home safe, and if they are in a crisis in our community, that often we're able to help them the best that we can. We do have consultants with us today. If you would like to enroll in the program today, feel free to talk to us. If you want to take a paper home and talk about it with your loved ones, feel free to do that. You can always call us for a non-emergency number, and if any officer can enroll somebody, or you specifically ask for a co-responder team, and we can come out and meet with you in person, whatever works best, and that way we can take care of your loved ones in the community. That's it. Yeah. Okay. If you want to meet with us at a table, we'd be more than happy to. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am. So we do have a Expo correspondent team that they can contact our DPD co-responder team. Right now, only DPD officers have access to the database, but I am going to clarify and see if our dispatchers will have access to it, and that might be a way that we can use ASO or have ASO use the database also. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so next we're gonna have Julie Roper come up, she's with Next Up Senior Solutions. And she's gonna talk about, kind of signs that your loved one might need a higher level of care. Yeah. All right. Hi, I hope you guys all had a good one. I have a slideshow because I wasn't prepared for a slideshow today. But I really want to, take the opportunity to chat with you. I've chatted with many of you as you came around to the table, and our company it's not as clear as to what we do. We are Next Step Senior Solutions, and basically we want to be there for every step of the way. When you're in your 20s and 30s and you're busy with your career and you're raising your kids, not everybody stops to think about the fact that as a senior, you're going to be transitioning through some things. Your health may change, your environment may change, and so it's not something that we'll think about until we're right smack in the middle of it, and then they want to know, what does that look like? Am I safe to stay in the home by myself anymore? Or are there some changes that are happening that I need to start to consider a move where I might get more assistance? So we're going to talk about what that looks like, and then we're also going to talk quickly about the different levels of care that you can find in the different communities. So what does it look like when maybe it's time to start thinking about alternate solutions for either you or a loved one? You may start to notice some cognitive issues. So, we all have some of the issues. I use my keys probably 3 or 4 times a week. But if I'm putting my keys in the oven, that might be some sign that I'm having some cognitive issues. If you hear your loved one asking the same question over and over and over, that's a sign. So we might need to talk about some of the solutions for that. Some of them we heard from Kira Boat earlier today. One of the things I love to recommend is spending an hour with Kira, and she can help you kind of decide where your loved one is and what we might need to do to be able to still communicate and to help them to have the best life possible. Dangerous driving is another one. I was talking with somebody here today that said, the husband has driven to the same store 600 times, and then one day called and said, I don't know where I am. And at that point, it's time to take away the keys. And if you're taking away the keys, how is that person going to be able to get around to do various activities? Are they going to be able to provide groceries and things like that in the house? It might be time to get someplace where they don't have to worry about driving. Missed medication. I talk to people regularly that say, well, I noticed the other day that I totally missed my medication on Monday. And it was on Tuesday, but then on Wednesday I missed them, and on Thursday I noticed I forgot to put a pill into one of the boxes. Medication is a pretty serious thing. We want to make sure that we can manage medication. Decline in personal care. Have you ever noticed sometimes when people are having either cognition issues, or maybe they're just losing some strength or having some heart issues or some lung issues, and exhausting to take a shower by yourself. It's exhausting to do your hair. I can't imagine if I had to do my hair and all the steps that it takes and I wasn't feeling the best. My personal hygiene might start going down. So if you're starting to notice personal hygiene or a major change in environment. I had a lead call over Christmas, and she said, I was just here in the summer, and everything was exactly as I remember growing up. The house was pristine, the yard looked great. She said, I'm here in December. The yard doesn't look like it's been touched since I was last here. I can't even find the kitchen counter. She said, I don't know what's going on, but my parents are not in the same place that they were in even 6 months ago. So it was time to find somewhere where they would have their hygiene taken care of for them, and they would have their housekeeping done.
Another thing is, caregiver stress. Sometimes you may see a caregiver that is helping someone with cognitive decline. And you can tell they're getting to the end of that road. They're saying, damn, I'm not getting any sleep at night. I can't go anywhere. I'm missing out on my children. I'm missing out on my grandchildren. I've lost all of my friends. I'm not connected anymore. I can't go to church. That's caregiver stress. And sometimes when that gets to be too much, it's time to find some other solutions. Depression and loneliness, we've talked so much over the last couple of years. People living at home that were isolated, they got depressed and lonely. Maybe they lost a lot of weight. Maybe they didn't see the family anymore. Those are times that we might want to talk about some options outside of them living in a home. Now, I get people all the time that say, well, I don't feel like I should be living in my home, but I still want to go to a nursing home. There are so many options before you need to be in a nursing home. In fact, our skilled nursing homes need to be for the people that are pretty sick. If you look at some of the other options, let's talk about independent living. Independent living is basically you go into a resort. They're going to provide your meals, they're going to provide entertainment, they're going to provide transportation with you to appointments and fun outings. Some of our independent living take like road trips, long trips. So it can be a relaxed kind of thing. But they won't take care of any of your physical needs. They'll provide you meals, they'll take care of housekeeping. They're not going to do the management, and they're not going to come in and help you with showering and bathing, etc. So when you get to a place where you need that, then you need to talk about assisted living, and they'll help you with that management. They can help you with showering and dressing, and you're still going to get meals, you can get transportation and entertainment, all kinds of other stuff. If you or a loved one get to a place where you think you need memory support, our community here in town that have assisted living all have wonderful memory support options for you. So we can talk that. And then once you get to a place where you are maybe very sick, you're bedbound, can't get up on your own, needing a Hoyer lift, at a stage where you may have tubes that are coming in or out of your body to help you to survive. That's when you nursing. We are contracted with all of the assisted living here in town, the independent living, and the memory support communities here in town, in Lake City, in several in Ocala. So if you have any questions, or you want to talk a little bit more about, hey, maybe I need help, finances are a challenge, what do I do? Give me a call. We've got some options and we can talk through that. I was going to ask, does anyone have questions? I think we have time for questions. No? Okay. Well, I'm going to turn it back over. Thank you, Julie. So next we're going to have Kira folks come back up, and then we have JD accompanying her. So don't want to stand actually just in front of the screen. And thank you. So we actually were facing, we took the lessons meeting. Did everybody have a good lunch? Everybody. Yes, it was good. Yeah, very good. Nothing like talking with the public and nothing like that. We ate a good time. But thankfully, everyone provided lunch. We wanted to come back. This is my assistant name again, and she has about 4 years of experience with Dementia Chapter, hands-on solution-driven experience. She's been my right-hand woman for the past 2 years. We've been working together over the past 10 years, different things. And what we want to offer you right now is maybe to discuss some of the challenges that you might have, the things that you can think about, practical challenges, or maybe there's just some things that you want to know more about. So, for instance, we talked about brain health
this morning. We talked about diet and exercise, so we talked about meaningful engagement, I'm also going to put some ideas out there. Maybe you have specific challenges to bathing or behaviors, or taking your loved one out, or medication management. So we just want to use the next 30 minutes for like an open forum discussion, if you feel comfortable, addressing real challenges that you might have. Yes, I'll give the microphone. Oh, no.
I would just say, like, what to do with family members, clients, patients, all that stuff that are becoming physically aggressive, violent, that kind of stuff.
Yes, that's a good question. Anybody else that's difficulties with physical violence and aggression, pushback? So, we're going to address it one thing at a time. I think talk about the ideas, and then I'll come back to you for questions too. The ideas and aggression. Maybe give you a great example. We had a gentleman who was living in the city, and he was actually pulling out a caregiver's chair. So there's none of them amazing, because whenever they were in his presence, they were so scared that he's going to grab their hair, pull the hair out. Obviously, by the time they called me as a dementia specialist, he has not had a bath in like 3 weeks. So the secret with this person was, and what I want you to remember, take a step back and remember that the more negative experiences we have in a certain situation, it's going to cause us to have that negative anticipation that something bad is going to happen. It is my experience, we talked about it earlier. Our superpowers, our person living with dementia, is emotion. So they can see off of my emotions, if I'm fearful or anxious or in a rush, they're going to pick up on number one. Number two is if they're having combative with perennial fear or dating, they now have a negative frame of reference with that task. I cannot expect to be successful with that task if there's built up a negative experience with that task. I have to change the environment, I have to change my approach, I have to change the task. Until I establish rapport, safety, and confidence before I can reach to maybe the task where I want to do the task. So that I'm going to say first off and foremost. Sometimes it helps to change the person who's in the care. Sometimes the caregiver, that their loved ones, have gotten into a negative spiral. I know that people have, right? There's certain topics that can just trigger us to go in a negative emotional state because we have a negative behavioral pattern with one specific thing, right? Also, this is my teenage daughter. That's a good example, right? So when we reach that place, we always go into a negative spiral because we never agree. The same thing happens with the person living with dementia. So if I've already built up a negative behavioral cadence with that person, it's difficult to break. So how do I really change the environment, change the approach, and do it differently? Because it's never going to work that way. So that's completely different. So for this gentleman, remember how we talked about unlocking the heart. So how do I establish rapport first? I'm not task-oriented. I'm not goal-driven. I'm saying that person knows when I enter into that space, we need to get the shower done right now. That's already going to put us on the negative path. So how do I establish a positive emotional rapport first and enter into that person's space where it doesn't matter what you just done, as long as we have a positive connection in this moment, right? That's what we need to start. So with this gentleman that I'm talking with, starting about pulling out hair, let's go. And the facility that in the executive direction has a baby dog there. So I got lucky. I took the dog in with me, with gentlemen, and everything, our whole connection was about the dog, and that he had a dog. And we got the dog on the wall, and we talked about the dog on the wall. And then he was trusting me. Because I think nothing about parental care and being human value, failing, that was not my intention. My intention was to go to the board first. And that's the notion to fix up on, right? So now the trust, and I was meeting, that I didn't have a layer emotional connection with me. So the next thing was, can you show me the game? It's just a small group, it's back from the crowd. This is what you say, can you show me a little bit? So you took me into the bathroom, showed me the bathroom, and said, wow, this is nice. While we're there, why don't you use the body? And if it's in that environment, you can see the body and make things, and like, yeah, sure. And use the body. While we're busy, can I hand you a weight wash drop? And we just do the bottom. So, like people maybe look like a sour and I still can go over some moment. It's like, yeah, okay, and come on the body ready. Big body. And you have that to the pull up out that clean trousers out. So again, I got lucky because I didn't figure that. And I handed it to him and I said, thanks for so fresh. And I went, it was more than willing. And then the fan is very interesting. He couldn't communicate with me. He got very impressed with the fan. And come to find out that the pair of fans that they tried for me to put on, the zipper was broken. He didn't want those fans because the zipper was broken, but he couldn't communicate. So we went to his closet and found the different pair of fans, and that's what they put on. So by entering into his presence, connecting with the heart, establishing emotional rapport, and then one step at a time, having very specific expectations that's very simple, and allowing him to respond without the expectation of getting into the shower. So that session, 20 minutes, we got him bringing to, and he stand on the bike, and just pointed to the sink and said, let's wash our hands. And while we're at it, I got this done. And they were saying, here's a toothbrush. Do you think this is wonderful brush to use? It's like, yeah, it's perfect. And she said, and we got out of the room, and that he was at risk for losing his placement because of his flavors. But the staff is understanding his rhythm and how to allow him time to respond and to allow him to be in control of the next step. Was very successful after that. And I'm going to ask Jane to ask maybe something on the discussion.
I would just say that with all the behaviors, you can pretty much hear into that there's a baseline that's involving distrust or fear. There's something negative there that's triggering that. So it's always good if you can kind of figure out what that is. And like Kira said, that environment became the trigger because that had been a negative experience repeatedly for him. So, oftentimes, and I've had similar experiences where I had to break down the task and do just little small pieces of it in a way that felt safe for the person. And even, as Kira spoke about before, just using that therapeutic touch and those reassuring verbiage. I had a lady once that I did help with the shower as well. But the first time, we just went for a walk and just went to look at the shower. And I assured her, we are not taking a bath. And that gave her a sense of confidence and trust with me. And ultimately, the next time I did see her, I was able to help her with the shower. It was fine. So I think that's really important to just keep in mind that there's that baseline there of that, some fear. And that I'll add also that when the approach is such a big piece of that, and that we have to just be careful that we are always showing respect and that we are giving them control in as much as they can have control. So if you're giving them some options and some choices that they can manage, they're gonna feel like they do have some control and not as much that you're trying to control them. Because that can be a big aspect of it as well.
And I wanted to add to that, I think some of us also what is our goal and what's realistic for our person, right? So, and another part of that is a rhythm and a routine that is safe and effective. And any time, even me, even my girls, I'm a 14-year-old and a 17-year-old, maybe it's my fault, but we have a strict routine, you know, and we, on the weekend, we discuss every week. I travel, I go all over, but they need to know, when am I gonna be gone, when am I leaving, when I'm gonna be back, can they reach me by time, when can they call me, when are we having a FaceTime? And I cannot just change that on them midweek, right? I cannot go over expectations and this is how we can live life, but then on Wednesday, I'm going to tell them, oh, well, I'm going to be gone 4 days, right? That's going to throw them off completely. So that's the same with our loved ones. So how do we create security, rapport, and help them to know what that makes sense? Part of that is routine, repetition, reminders, keeping it simple, keeping it in the same place, in the same way, at the same time, in a very simple manner, not changing up regularly. Because it might take us 2 weeks when we're home with somebody to establish that routine, repetition, and reminders for both the loved one and our person living with dementia so that there is success. Does that answer the question? That's a very long answer, but I think it's very important. It's a big issue that we, and it touches on different pieces. Does anybody else have comments or concern or questions out there? Can we talk about violence? How about the violence on other patients? So violence on other patients, yes. Again, there are specific triggers. Sometimes it helps to move somebody to different side of the building so that they're not wiping somebody else's face. It's hard to repeat necessarily. In that case, you need to explore what is the trigger there. Because there's a trigger. Somebody's not just violent because they want to be violent. And maybe they have unresolved trauma that we don't know, or maybe we're looking at unresolved trauma, PTSD. If this person is veteran, do they have response to loud voices or certain tone of voice? Is there's too much going on? There's music going on. If there's medication being given out, and residents moving, so do we need to limit our person's access to the building at certain times of day when we know that they're going to be overstimulated? So it's worth then exploring to see what is triggering that later, because you can eliminate it if you understand.
I had a situation with a resident in a facility that was becoming nearly combative and definitely very argumentative with multiple patients. And it was really stemming out of her own confusion. She was feeling wasn't sure what she was supposed to be, what she was supposed to be doing so much of the time, and then she would encounter somebody who was also confused, and it would quickly escalate because there was a lot of emotion there. And so what ended up happening is there was one resident that she really connected well with, and that was very helpful to her, and they got along well. So the staff just learned to pair the two together. As long as she stuck with the other lady, that kind of looked out for her, but she didn't feel confused, she didn't feel lost, the emotions weren't heightened, and she did well. So we just gave her money.
And again, we talk about, we actually had a training session for our therapists yesterday to talk about orientation. Orientation doesn't just mean the day and the flexion and one eye, right? Orientation means for me to understand what's my immediate expectation right now. That's orientation. And then you said it so nicely, and I've been pondering on this a lot. That is, if I'm not oriented, if I don't know what's expected of me, if I don't know where I belong, I don't feel valued, the opposite of that is lost. I'm lost in my relationship, lost in my environment, I'm lost in my expectations. So how do we bridge that? And so some of it is you need to get started from a place of being lost. And again, so how do we have that connection so that we can anchor and right here, right now, where we are now, and to overcome that feeling of being lost in our control. So that's a lot for me. There's a lot of different tricks to overcome barriers, right? However, I cannot predict barriers in each of you. I can even predict my own barriers, my husband's barriers, my children's barriers, and the people on the road barriers. It's all different. So it's very hard to come back after the barriers itself. It's much easier to go upstream, to understand triggers, and to take a person up for success. That is where the solution is at. Julie.
Oh, I was just, a lot of times I get calls or people saying over and over and over how to go down.
Yes. I just like to feel on the gap this morning. I'm very, not ashamed, but I wasn't going to feel embarrassed to say, but it took my dad 2 years to put out that whiteboard in his home, okay? 2 years. It took me 2 years. From America to come visiting in South Africa to sign for a whiteboard. And the thing with picture, I just had it, sanitary, and so proud of it, but I finally put up a whiteboard because it was really nice. Because my mom is a teacher. She's a math teacher. She needs to know what is today's date, what's happening today, where are we going, what time is it, what's today's date, what year is it, what activity is it. Did I miss my senior, my study group? Did I miss, so-and-so? She's driving me up the wall. I'm like, Dad, just put the whiteboard up. Whiteboard in the bathroom, whiteboard in the living room, whiteboard in the kitchen. In the morning, you write them together. This is the day, this is the day, this is what's happening today. Just do it. And the following today, he's done it. So over time, our person will learn, especially our own, because some of our guidance, they agree with me, will learn that that's the resource, that's where I look for my information. So the other piece of that is a journal. So my mom used to journal all the time. She has a little journal, and it used to be a little big pocketbook. And you start today, day, year, and then the 14 days. What's going to happen today? I have a hair appointment. I'm going to swim in the afternoon next week. We're going to go to the butcher. We're going to go to the grocery. I need to drink X cups of water, and then she makes up check marks right there. I need to take my medicine and take 3 mistakes. So, as she goes throughout the day, she makes notes. Now, we give her control back to her. When she starts asking questions, this is the spot where I will write the question and the answer. So, the first one, so my dad can now say, look at your book. Look at your book. Look at your book. Next time she asks, okay, I have to look at my book. So she looks at the book. Next time, she looks at the book first for the answer before she asks. Now, this is going to help to a higher level for basic questions when you get bias. Some of those questions are not going to be as well formatted because when we get to the bias level, when confusion is in and when my language skills are declining, I don't have the ability to express that effective questioning. And then it was a very emotional trigger stuck on, and I wanted to ask a number of ways, and where's my mom picking it up? When is my mom picking it up? And a nurse who had a wonderful idea, and she writes a note, and she said, I'm going to be here later to pick you up. And she put a note in the person's pocket. So every time it doesn't keep the person from asking the question, but it gives them the solution. Let's look at the note. She's going to come back later. And now I'm forcing back and forth 30 minutes, right? But it's that answer again. Anchoring in the here and now and overcoming that. And finding some solution. Some work, some that aren't work, but there are some things that work. I think we're
I would just add, we have a little thing, for the higher level AEs, and then of course, the calendar box are great. I love those. And then just adding to what Pierre talked about engagement all day long, when they are appropriately engaged in something meaningful that they enjoy, then suddenly they're not thinking any longer about what they did, what time they did, what's next. Because what's next is what's happening right now that I'm engaged in.
I have a lady that was presenting activity, and I walked in, and I was right by the door, which is in the idea, right? So she's right by the door, I need to leave, my family's gonna come get me, and I'm gonna miss them. And, if I just stay right here, and just by entering into her here, and I'll say, listen, I'm not gonna make them forget you.
Yeah.
I am going to let them know where you're at. But while we're waiting, how about we go do this? See what I do? Doesn't this look fun? And you're like, oh yeah, I was an amazing school teacher. I used to do this all day long. I'm like, great, let's go over there and we can share some of the other ways and what we are about to be doing. She completely forgot about that fixation that she had. But as long as she's sitting in front of the exit, she can see the exit and the people moving back and forth. That's where fixation is going to be at. Is that I need to leave my family and come get me. But like Jenny was saying, the moment you have her engaged in the here and now anchored, and she felt engaged, valued, and meaningfully connected with the environment, with other people, a lot of those challenges are in that success. Anything else? I think we're almost ready for our focus speaker. Thank you, everyone.
Mr. Braun? Awesome. Okay, hey, hello, Gainesville, Lake City, Columbia County. DJ Ryan, nurse here of Hospice in Marion County, been a hospice nurse for about 22 years. My credentials get all the years out of the way. Focusing on Alzheimer's and dementia education. We're going to talk a little bit about some evidence kits and they're wandering here, some tips and ideas on how to avoid that. I'm actually working now with the Nancy Reinhardt Center for Dementia Education. That is a program of Hospice in Marion County. Been doing Alzheimer's and dementia education for about the past 2 years. The reason I put this slide up here for you folks out of town, my email is on the bottom. If you want to put a PowerPoint or you want to copy this PowerPoint presentation, just email me and I'll send it to you directly. I have paper copies out there for us here at Gallup. So I'm going to go ahead and start off introducing Paul Coley from the Center Evidence Kit program. We're going to talk about what he does, what this program is, and then I'm going to tie it into our local counties and sheriffs. Come on. There you go.
Good afternoon. Thank you all for having me here. Also, like you said, my name is Paul Coley. I'm the CEO and founder of Center Evidence K9. Tell you a little bit about myself. I've worked 30 years in the state of Florida in law enforcement. I've also worked for a state hospital. And then I got to 44 years of age. I got to, my wife said, instead of buying a Harley for my midlife crisis, a midlife adventure, and I got to go work for the FBI, a very specialized team. So with that, we've taken the information and knowledge that I gained from there and wanted to apply it to a really difficult problem that a lot of individuals are dealing with individuals with dementia, which is wandering. About 60% of individuals who have been diagnosed with dementia will wander. And that's a very difficult problem. We're going to talk a little bit about how our company has helped partner with DOEA, the legislature here in Florida, and how about several hundred people have been saved by using this program. So let me talk about, we partner with Marion County and Sumter in your area. So let me give you a little story first about how this program worked. We've been partnering with Sumter County since our company first started. And we've been training their bloodhound teams and their law enforcement officers on how to utilize this. So I just got through training with their teams again last week. One of the handlers told me a story. Back in September, they get a call from a family member, a caregiver. They're having trouble with an individual that's dealing with dementia. The responding deputy goes there, talks to the family, realizes that wandering is an issue. So they give him a kit, family member collects the scent, stores it. About 6 hours later, there's an incident with the family, and the father, who has dementia, leaves. Don't know where he is. So they call out the responding bloodhound team that's been trained. He gets there, he's talking to the caregiver and getting information. We'll talk a little bit about that in just a minute too. He says, I have a scent kit. So dad had been somewhat combative at this point, gave him some information about how he may be armed with a knife. So the deputy takes a dog and the kit, starts at the home, starts trailing. He trails through a neighborhood to another location, and then the dog starts giving what we call a proximity alert, which means they're getting close. So Charlotte's the bloodhound's name. She's just sweet as she can be. Her whole body starts wagging, like, I'm getting close, Dad, I'm getting close. They go around the corner and there he sits with a knife in his hand. So he looks at the puppy and says, can I pet your dog? And Mata, who was the deputy at the time, says, sure, put down the knife that you can pet my dog. So he puts down the knife. Charlotte goes up and sits down, which is our alert, sits down, says, here he is, Dad. And the dog goes from a locating tool to a comfort tool that quick. So that's what this program is about. This is what we do for caregivers. We'll kind of, we have a three-pronged approach to what we do. First is awareness. We know that you caregivers are dealing with a tremendous amount of stress and anxiety and a lot of things to do. So our kit is just a little peace of mind for you to gather information that's going to help first responders in case they get your loved one gets away from you. So we'll go through the kit in just a minute. So that's the first part. So it gives you people around you awareness. It gives you a tool to prepare for that event. Second thing is we go in and train law enforcement. So we're doing things that explain to them how to interact. Mata has been through our training. He knew exactly what to do. There was an armed individual, could have been a whole lot different, could have ended much different. But because he's been trained, he knew exactly what to do. And a situation that could have turned bad ended up being very, very successful. And then the third thing we do is we train the dog teams on scent discriminant training. So give you a little bit of science behind what we do. Your scent is specific to you, just like your fingerprint and DNA. And we use that and we capture that to present to these dogs that's been trained since 646 AD to do this special work. They're amazing at it. Other dogs do it. We train a lot of other dogs. We're partial to bloodhounds. Their body's designed to do it. They're loving. Like I said, they go from a tool to locate someone to a comfort tool, just like that. So that's our three-pronged approach. And with that, we have partnered with the DCCIs. We've partnered with FDOEA to bring these resources to you free of charge. So our legislature got behind it. Representative Scott Plakins, who sponsored our appropriation bill a few years ago, his wife had early onset Alzheimer's. He got behind us. Him and the governor have pushed this program out, and there's over 200 people that's been located in the state of Florida 2.5 years using this. And we think, looking at our numbers, it's preventing people from going missing as well, because we're giving you tools to stop that. So I'm gonna walk you through how this works. So I think we have some kits back here at the table. They're available in Marion and Sumter County. We have them. I think there's some of the other DCCIs that have these as well. So we've already said that your scent's specific to you, right? Just like your DNA and fingerprints. When we go into a home and we don't have a scent kit, we have to deal with other individuals' odor. How many in here have seen Pigpen from Charlie Brown? right? So that's how you look to our dogs. There's been research done. We just read a piece of research from Germany. We get to do this all over the world. So we do work with some individuals in Germany. They took and had individuals hold their hands over a gauze pad and hold one. And then had dogs come in and use those to match. So the dogs could actually alert and match odor to someone that just held their hand over there. So in your home, your odor is going to be all over it. Somebody else comes into that room, deputy, other family member, their odor's in there. So any article you pull out and give us is going to have multiple odors on there. So we have to figure that out and hopefully get it right. I did this as a canine handler because I got tired of finding that individual that didn't tell us they were in the scene. I would run a dog and we'd find him somebody sitting around the corner had been looking. So this really makes the deployment of the canine much more effective and efficient. So we have a way of reducing that contamination. Evidence grade jar. These are very, very tough. They've been through a treatment process. They're sterile and a sterile gauze pad right here. So you take this, you wipe it in a glandular area. We recommend underneath the arm, 10 times, blue line to the body. You place it in here. Seal it up. It's good for 10 years. Peace of mind. No problem. If your loved one will not let you do that, if you can get your loved one to do it, fantastic. And I got a story I'll tell you about that. So we do this for children as well. So this mom ordered a kit for her son who had autism and her dad who was early onset dementia. So she gets the kits. We sent our children's book. He read the children's book. At the end of the book, there's an opportunity for the child to say what their gifts are. So he was, what was it? Persistent. He was persistent. That's what came out of this. So they read that, and she takes the kid over to dad and said, "Hey, Dad, will you do this?" "Nope, not going to do it. I'm good, no problem." Little boy hears that and he says, "Mom, I got this. Give it to me." He said, "I'm persistent." 10 minutes later, he comes back with granddad's odor in here. So it's amazing the stories we hear about how individuals are using this. So back to this. If they will not let you wipe underneath the arms, glandular areas, wearing gloves, make sure you put your name on it and you collected it. The gloves are in the box as well. Seal it up. And then there's a red tab that goes on it.
Label it and drop them.
Yeah. Fill this label out. It gives the canine handler additional information that goes on the jar. And then put this evidence tab on here. Seal it up. That way we actually had one gentleman that figured it out and was going back into the refrigerator and undoing it. He had a girlfriend he didn't want his daughter to know about. He knew he was leaving, so there's some stuff going on there. But so it goes on here like this, and then the handler will know that it has not been tampered with. Place it in your refrigerator. It's good for 10 years. If you don't want to put it in your refrigerator, on top of the refrigerator is where we recommend, because it's an area we're training law enforcement to look for. If you forget, you've got one. So it's they'll go in and look. So you collected the scent, you got everything ready. How many have had individuals that you're caring for wander and get away from you?
I'm sorry, but I can't quite hear you.
I asked how many people here have had a loved one get away from them and wander. Very traumatic, wasn't it? You probably didn't give the best information you could give. I've done hundreds of these cases, and people, I mean, you're dealing with trauma. So this here is our flash drive. It has an individual preparedness plan on here. You just pull it up and you get to fill out all this information that we're going to need as a responder. And you're doing it while you're not dealing with trauma. You can actually put a picture on here. You can actually upload music if there's a calmer that really works well for your loved one. Put that on there, put that information on there. And then we've trained the investigators to utilize this and check against the information. Question?
Yeah, I have a question. I think I did this with the sheriff's department, but they didn't have a thumb drive. And they did it over the phone. So, we said after 6 months, I could take it out of the refrigerator and put it somewhere else. I don't know. But with yours, can I still do that, or would it not be a good idea to have both?
Well, if you do not have one of our flash drives, you got one of our earlier kits, you
Okay,
can go to our website. It's free. Look for individual preparedness plan. And we have taken all the information that an investigator is going to need, as well as some trauma-informed information for the responders and the family. So all of that is right there. Just fill it out, print it out, and put it in the kit.
okay, because even like updating, because I know when I did it with the sheriff, I had to give him all the information of his doctors and medications and people contact. So do I have to go to Marion County to update it, or like just things like that?
You can reach out to the sheriff's office there and see how they want to do it, but you can actually do this at home
Okay.
and keep it at home. So you have everything you need in the event someone goes missing. Couple more tips that we're asking people to do. If you're going to be leaving home, or if the chances for them wandering increases, dress them in light colored clothing. That gives us as first responders a better view in case they get in an area. Just little tidbits like that. Make sure if you have a neighborhood watch and they do go missing, put that information out there so everybody's helping you look. We have collected a lot of data, and we're finding anywhere from a half mile to a mile and a half is normally where people are found. So
Do they know the website, or is that?
back to our website, sent evidence, the letter K, number 9.com. And you can go to individual preparedness plan
It's under the Scent Kit tab.
under the Sent Kit tab. If you use one of these, get another one. If you use it, then it's been exposed to the handlers and other information, other people's odor could be on that. So if you use it, ask them for another one. So you've got the freshest odor there and gives them the greatest opportunity.
Okay, so we're just talking about which counties provide this kit. So as Paul mentioned, Marion and Sumter County Sheriff's Departments are utilizing this program. You can reach out to either one of them if you're in the respective counties. We still recommend that in the event that you do not, your county does not provide this, you can go on the website and get it for yourself. So when they call one of these multitude units here, all of them have K9 units. All 5 of these sheriff's departments all have, and this is the name of their programs: lost person unit, first response team, operation ID. So they're utilizing a lot of different resources as well. They're just not utilizing the Scent Kit. However, if you have your own Scent Kit, you let them know, hey, I have scent evidence kit for my person that has wandered, and their K9 dogs can use it.
There are also a lot of mutual aid that we've been working with agencies across the state, and worked with about 30 agencies in the state of Florida. I got a call last night. There's a missing individual, and they didn't have a dog team in that area. So Putnam County Sheriff sent his dog team, and they're actively searching right now as we talk. So we have created a really good network. There's been tons and tons of stories of individuals that have been found using this, and our goal is you never use it. We hope you never need this, but it takes about 5 minutes, and the effectiveness with our teams has been through the roof. Bay County Sheriff's Office is using this. The average for a K9 unit success rate of using just the patrol dogs, which is mostly the 20-year dogs, so the shepherds, is about 6%.
See 6?
6%.
Oh,
Bay County has patrol dogs that are doing this. They went from about 18%, and they just reported to us in November, they're at 82%. So it's using the science, the training, and the awareness to make a huge difference in our communities.
thank you so much, Paul. Appreciate your time.
Yes.
Question?
Several supporters, and they are interested in your program,
Sure.
so that I'd be able to share your information with them.
I think I put some back there on that table back there.
And also back on that table is the Marion County Sheriff's crisis intervention team flyer, Tammy. Tammy?
Yeah.
The flyer on this side is the Marion County Sheriff's flyer. They already are rolling with this program. Yep, yep, okay, sorry. That's it. And then, like I said, in your other prospective counties, go to the website again. I don't have it on here, but it's sent
evidenceK9.com.
evidence K9.
It's a letter K, number 9.
I'll make sure I get the flyer on this presentation when I send it out.
It's on the cards back here too, and we answer our phone. That is my personal phone number on there, so if you have a situation, you know, give me a call. Some of the calls I get are why we do what we do. I had a lady in Central Florida call me. Her husband had passed away recently, and she called and asked if she could send the kit back and we could reuse it because it brought her such a peace of mind. And when we get that kind of feedback, makes everything we do worthwhile.
Speaking of which, cost. So the counties that don't have it provided, I can tell you now, Elder Options or Elder Affairs, Elder Options does have a stack of these kits. So you can reach out to the Elder Options in Gainesville. They do have some free ones still available.
Okay.
And if they need to buy one, how does that look?
We have them online. They're $24.99, and we're working on options to expand the program again this year. We're working on our 5th year. We're working on about 30 agencies in the state of Florida. Department of Elder Affairs has purchased some of these and put them in the community as well. So they have a few left.
They do. I plus the 24 I got from them last month. So, all right, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So we're going to talk a little bit about why we need to set up an evidence kit. As mentioned, 6 out of 10 people wonder. I hear it a lot when I do community visits. The question is, well, I don't need it yet because we're not there yet. It's that yet word that kind of throws me off a little bit because you got a greater than 50% chance that the person living with dementia will eventually wander. How do we prevent those options? What are some things we can do? And like I said on the PowerPoint, if you need this at the end of the PowerPoint presentation, email it, I'll give it to you. But these are some of the simple solutions that just notify us, or you get notified when your person living with dementia either leaves the home, gets out of bed. One of the big common challenges is they get up at 2 o'clock in the morning, and you don't hear them get out of bed. And they walk out the front door, they go out through the garage because the garage door is quieter. Because when you open the garage door, you don't hear it when you're in the back bedroom. So many different devices that you can use, cameras, GPS. There is a couple programs out there. You can go down this rabbit hole if you like. There are multiple GPS programs out there that you can get a key fob. You can get stick them in your pockets, your shoes, the heels of your shoes that they wear. They can go on a watch. All those devices are out there, anywhere from $5 a month all the way up to like $90 a month. Those programs are out there. We didn't put any of those on this presentation today because it would have taken about 20 slides.
Can I tell a story?
Absolutely.
So St. Johns County is a big partner of ours, and they have one of the bracelet programs. Well, they could not get a signal from home, so they brought the bloodhound team in, grabbed the kit, put the bloodhound team on the ground, and started trailing. They got behind them with their antenna and started riding behind the bloodhound team until the beat started. So the dog got them within range, and then they were able to finish. So we recommend using as much of this together as you can because nothing's foolproof. So.
You're right, because you get some of those areas in the forest, you actually can't get signal, whether they're wearing the watch or the tracking device. So these are just some of the ideas. This is the big one. A lot of people don't realize. A lot of people think, hey, I'll put the TV on, I'll go in the kitchen, run the dishwasher, call my friend on the phone, start having a conversation. A lot of the triggers is the caregivers. We're creating an environment that isn't pleasant to be in. When they're staring at the TV blankly, they're probably not processing any of the information. But eventually, kind of like when you were here earlier today, some of our audio just made us want to just get up out of the room and go. Right? So keep track of your environment. I had a situation about 3 months ago. Gentleman was at home with Lewy body. No problems living at home with the daughter. until all 3 grandkids were off Thanksgiving vacation. 48 hours after being home for Thanksgiving, this guy with Lewy body dementia had a total meltdown in the house. He started breaking things, smashing things, tearing his room apart, and the trigger was the family, the children. So keep that in mind. If you start to see your person living with dementia becomes agitated, maybe check out the auditory surroundings as well. More ways to do something I'm wondering, cover the door. As humans, the way we take in data, first and foremost, is visually. If you can't see what you're looking for, you're not going to find it, right? So just covering the door with a curtain or paint it. Some people recommend painting the doors the same color as the walls. And if you're going to put a fence outside, put all the hardware on the outside of the fence, not on the inside like we normally do. Because if you want your person living with dementia to be in a safe environment in the backyard, put all the hardware on the outside so they don't know that there's a hinge and a latch in the door. All they see is a solid fence. The other component, most people living in mid-stage to moderate stage dementia never look higher than here. They don't look up. So having a latch, a safety latch, a lock, whatever the case, putting the device out of sight, just above eye level, will also help with that. And then, of course, being out of reach. Grandma 5'2" can't reach that top part anyway, so she'll find another door to go out. Simply put a sign, stop sign, stop or do not enter signs. Even though it's very simple, 4 letters, 5 letters, 3 words, it may work. Several facilities use them as in their memory care units, just to get them to turn around and walk away. Give them something to do. If you don't have something to do, people get bored. People get bored, they want to go do something. Find any activity that works for them, whether it's just walking around the yard, doing a puzzle, something that they can resonate with them, that's not overwhelming to them. Because if you give somebody with mid-stage dementia who's been doing puzzles their entire life, you give them a 500 piece or 1,000 piece puzzle, they're going to give up on it pretty quickly, right? So get them a task that they can achieve and take them to the bathroom often. It's the simplest thing. How many times do you all go to the bathroom throughout the day? 4, 5, 6 times? They do too, but they don't know. So just actually getting them to the bathroom 6, 7 times a day will actually reduce the risk of wandering. This is the list of resources I was talking about earlier today. allsconnected.org, pretty good website, I like it. This is actually caregivers. The reason I like it is a forum, and it's all caregivers all over the world, 24 hours a day, just queuing in and talking to each other. allsconnected.org. You get 3 o'clock in the morning, you don't know what to do, you're pulling out your hair, get online, talk to these people that are caregivers. They don't allow doctors and studies and research and all that stuff on this website. It's one of the ones I like it so much. Just for support, 24 hours a day, online. AgingResources.org, great one. They do a lot of classes and support groups as well. Alls.org, a lot of education and support groups to the Alls.org organization in all the counties, Some are live and some are virtual. TeepaSnow.com, if you're not familiar with her, she's a dementia care specialist guru, occupational therapist of 40 years. She's going to be here in Ocala February 8th at a presentation at the Church of Hope. Get tickets. You can get tickets on Hospice of Marion County Facebook page. She's awesome. She does hands-on, hand under hand techniques, hands-on caregiving, plethora of resources. Most of her videos are free on YouTube. You just type in YouTube Teepa Snow, you'll get a taste of what she does. Pretty incredible. National Institute of Aging, National Institute of Health.gov. This is another great website. It's huge, but one of the reasons I like this so much, you literally go to the search box and say trouble bathing, and it'll take you right to that link, and it skips all the other garbage. How to get my person living with dementia to bathe, or how to eat, or how to get them dressed, or how to get them to the doctor's appointment. How do I deal with them when they go to the hospital? The reason I love this website, because of 5 websites, you can probably be a caregiver for the rest of your life. You're going to go anywhere other than those 5 websites, unless you want to look for research and medications, psychology, and all that stuff. But as far as caregiving, these are the top 5 websites I recommend. There is a dementia caregiver workshop available here in Marion County. Sorry, other 3 counties, you come down and see us. We do a 3-hour caregiver workshop for folks that caring for a person living with dementia. It's at no cost here, just through Hospice in Marion County. We also do something called the virtual dementia tour or the virtual dementia experience. If you haven't done it, you're caring for somebody living with dementia, find somebody in your county that does it. We provide that free as well at no cost. I'm sorry, no cost here in Marion County as well. Again, through Hospice in Marion County. You can reach out to my website or just go on the website and talk to Hospice in Marion County website page, and you'll find it there as well. I know there is a virtual dementia tour available down in Lake and Sumter County. It's through Village Health, or the Village's Health. So that's what they say, Village's Health. Her name is Melissa Durham. She does them at no cost down there as well. And I know you have a virtual dementia specialist in Gainesville. I know that for a fact. I still remember who it was, or if they're still practicing. Again, just know that you're no longer walking this journey alone. You can reach out to me at this number and or at that website, and I'll get the information to you guys. Alachua, Columbia, Lake, Sumter, we're good to go. Thank you much. Thank you, folks, for staying. It's very kind of you. Yeah, chances are that all that information got sent to are we still on? I was.